Hey everyone, it's Sandy Peckinpah live with you. Hello replay viewers. I'm so glad you're joining me. If you're looking out this beautiful window and seeing the mesquite tree, there are birds out there. Judy's here and Judy knows what this looks like because Judy also lives in Tucson. Judy, we're here in Tucson with Jim, as you know, and we're at Jim's house. We live in two houses. Hey Jessica. And that's Jim's property out there. It's several acres of just beautiful desert. Jessica, hello. Yes, the desert. Hello, everyone. Good. How are you, Jessica? You know what? I decided I missed you guys all so much that I couldn't not broadcast. It's a Monday. So what can I do? I have to broadcast. I miss you. And besides that, I was extremely inspired by some books that I've been reading. And so I wanted to share. You're great. Good. Oh, thank you for missing me. And I got the nicest text also from Shavana saying that she's going through Sandy withdrawals. So that inspired me. It made me happy. Well, happy Monday to all of you. I'm so grateful that you're joining me because both of you are writers, and for those of you who are on this broadcast who are not writers, this will still be an interesting conversation for you, I believe. Debbie's here. Oh, Debbie, sweetheart. I know you're experiencing the anniversary of a loss. Oh, thank you. So this is a big week for me. This is a week of birthdays. And, you know, my son Trevor, his birthday was on the 1st. Today is the 5th, Tommy's 38th birthday. That's right. I saw that on Facebook. Today is the 5th, and that would be my late husband's birthday. Then the 7th comes up, and it's Jackson's birthday. And then the 9th comes up, and that's my beautiful boy Garrett, who's in heaven. That's his birthday. And then on the 12th is one of my best friends in life, Nan. That's her birthday. So this is a birthday celebration. Anyway, I want to thank you for joining me because I got so inspired about writing. No, Virgos. They are Virgos. I got so inspired about writing. I'm reading several books, and I'm reading them for you because I passionately love sharing what I learn from other people. And you also teach me, and I love all of these hearts. Thank you. I think they're amber and they're toast brown, specifically for the fall. What year was Garrett born? He was born in 1977. He would be 39. Isn't that amazing? 39. Desert hearts, that's what they are. Desert hearts, yes. So, I wanted to say, I titled this broadcast, A Writer is Born, Even on a Holiday. And I had to add that, even on a holiday today, because my son Jackson was born on Labor Day. He's a year younger than. Oh, really? Wow. Okay. Well, I am so glad to know that. And yeah, my son Jackson was born. I had labor on Labor Day, and out he popped. Yes. Yes. The 10th of September, you're a Virgo. I have lived with Virgos my whole life. Jim is not a Virgo. That's the first man that I have been with that is not a Virgo. So, anyway, Alper Rink, welcome. So glad you're here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I am a writer. I've written 4 books. I am writing my 5th book, and I can't not wait until it's published. I'm about 3/4 of the way through. But what I love talking about is waking up your creative life, helping you write your story. And if you're not a writer, it doesn't matter. Story drives us. Stories, they drive us. They give us insight. Our story is our legacy. And so knowing our story is also critical to knowing why we do what we do and who we are in the next part of our lives. So that's why I love sharing story, and I'm so glad that you're on this broadcast with me. My birthday is March 2nd. I am a Pisces. So, how is a writer born? This is going to be a lot of personal story mixed in with facts and inspiration. So hang in there with me. How is a writer born? Well, a writer is born first with desire. Because I know those of you on this broadcast that I can see are writers. And you have joined me week after week on these broadcasts, and we talk about this. Where does the desire to write come? Well, I'll tell you a personal story about my late husband. His desire was literally born the moment he wrote a poem when he was a teenager. This poem was called Old Bill. Yes, experience too. This poem was called Old Bill. And he wrote it, he was about 17 or 18. I think figuring out Facebook and social media is my legacy today. That's funny. We leave a lot of our legacy on Facebook, a lot of it. We tell our stories. That's where we tell our stories, isn't it? If you think that you're not sharing your story, you are. You're just sharing it in a different format. So maybe Facebook is your blog. Have you ever thought about that? Maybe Facebook is your blog. It started out being mine. That's how I began blogging. Yeah, it's true, Judy. So my husband wrote this poem called Old Bill, and he sent it to his uncle, Sam Peckinpah. Sam was a film director. And he did many famous movies, one of them being The Wild Bunch, which was nominated for an Academy Award, and it was pretty popular. But what that did was Sam wrote back to David and said, David, you have talent. And this was a poem that was maybe this long. David, you have talent as a writer. Well, he did not write anything until the age of 22 after that. And when we met, and the first night that we were together and we walked along the beach and in Monterey, and we were talking about life and future, and I said, what is it you want to do? He said, I want to be a writer. And then I said, well, what have you written? And he said, a poem. And I said, well, I think we should start writing. And from that moment, he began writing a novel titled They Were Spoken of in Whispers. And that caught his heart, his mind, his soul, his spirit. It wrangled him to the ground saying, David, you must be a writer. Yes, he did Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid too. That's why I named my son Garrett, because it was right around that time that Garrett was born that he did that movie. That was actually my favorite movie that Sam had done. So desire comes from many different places, but the spark of that desire I can pinpoint to the poem that David wrote. Now, what about my desire? Yes, it is, isn't it? What about my desire? Well, first of all, I want to just backtrack a little bit. Yeah, and that was Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. That was Chris Christopherson, James Coburn. Bob Dylan was in that movie. In fact, he wrote Knockin' on Heaven's Door for that movie. That was Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, one of my all-time favorite songs. So, where did the desire for me to write actually come from? I was working with David many years. Oh, Debbie says she has the album. Many years I worked with him on scripts and stories and ideas and characters. I studied acting for 5 or 6 years. I learned about character development. I learned how to make writing and story and characters come alive. But my desire to start writing didn't come until my daughter was born. And then I could no longer hide that desire to write. OG Zach, welcome. So that desire came as a result of my daughter being born. And I knew that my stories could no longer stay inside of me because they had a greater purpose. Now, I know some of you on this broadcast are doing that very thing. Judy, you have a specific purpose in mind as you continue to write. And Jessica, you have a specific purpose in mind as you write, and your book is being published now. You couldn't decide on a college major because everything was so interesting. Well, then journalism must be something in your heart. Yes, I'm so proud of you, Jessica. That desire comes alive when something inside of you can no longer be held back. That desire to write. You either fulfill that desire or not. It's your choice. And those of you on this broadcast, I know, have fulfilled that desire. There are several of you on this broadcast who today have a book at the publisher, and one of them is Jessica. And usually we have Shavana on here. She's her publishing. Sally is almost done with her book. Judy has written more books than I ever have in my whole life. I cannot believe how prolific Judy is. So a desire to write is easy, but being a writer is hard. Yeah, isn't that great, Jessica? Judy, seriously, you do. You write a lot. I'm going to say this again. A desire to write is easy, but becoming a writer is hard. A writer is born the day that you sit down and start writing. That's when a writer is born. The desire to write doesn't make you a writer. My husband said to me, I want to be a writer. But he was not a writer until the day he sat down and started his novel, They Were Spoken of in Whispers. That's when he became a writer. When he committed to fulfilling that desire. Every day you have a choice to write or not. I love this writer, and Cynthia, if you're on this broadcast, I know you know this writer. You quote a lot and then struggle to write. And you know what? A struggle to write is very real for everybody who is a writer. It's a struggle that I face. Some writers will say that it's easy, that they can sit down and do it, and that comes after lots and lots of practice. And some days for me it just flows, and other days I do everything I can to avoid it. But what do I do when that happens? I had a friend of mine yesterday, we were talking on the phone, my friend Karen and I had written a script together. And she's a beautiful writer. And we wrote a script about the photographer Dorothea Lange. And it's one of my most proud pieces because it's a really good script. We have had it with lots of people. It was never produced, although a couple times it almost was. And so we felt but we were very proud of our work, very proud of it. And Karen and I were talking yesterday about how good it felt to have finished that work because so many people start and they don't finish it. And Karen said, sometimes I really struggle with being committed to writing. And what do you do? And I said, I have the same struggle. But whenever you have that struggle, you return to the basics. That's what you do. You return to the basics. And those basics are ritual, commitment, and just keep putting your butt in the chair, as Stephen Pressfield says, right? So, Jeff Goins, who's one of my favorite bloggers, he blogs a lot. He's written several books too, but I love his blogs because they're just slices about writing in small bites. And he says, Start writing. If you don't, all you're doing is waiting. And isn't that the heart of a writer? I mean, doesn't a writer always feel like I should be, I should be, I should be? That's exactly the way I felt after I finished my 4th book, and it was published, and it had been out there for a while. And then all of a sudden, I was working with all of these people, helping them write their books, and I forgot to sit down and continue writing myself. And I missed it. I longed for it, and I realized that Periscope had become a substitute for my writing, because every day I write for at least 1 hour, coming up with topics to share with you. And I don't just get on and talk from, improvisationally. I talk and I share having planned what I'm going to talk about. And so for me, that's a process of writing. But what I realized is that my heart was longing to write. My heart was longing to get my butt in the chair and start writing another book. And I remember the moment when Shavana and I had met, because I've been working with her. Yes, promoting and reaching out is that. Promoting and reaching out. Yeah, explain that a little bit further. So I was sitting, writing is more fun. Oh yeah. Oh, writing is so satisfying. I don't know. I love Periscope. It's as fun to me as anything. And that's why, even though it's a holiday, I'm on this broadcast. But what I recognize is that as a writer, oh, I'm so glad, Jessica. What I realized is that as a writer, once you claim yourself as a writer, there's no going back. You know that gnawing feeling inside of you is still there no matter what. You know that you need to be doing it, that you need to be sharing your stories, that you need to be writing, all of it. Good news, thank you. And so I started writing again, and I have to say that it was the best feeling. It was the best feeling. And I feel fulfilled again. And that's what I want to encourage you all to do. I know we don't have a lot of people on today, and I'll share some of this tomorrow and then continue with these ideas, because this week I'm talking about writing. I'm going to be talking about writing. Oh, I'm so glad. Jessica, you're finished with your book now, but that doesn't mean you stop. You have so many parts of your next book that are not written, or your next blog, because your story isn't over. Your story has just begun with the release of your book, because you know that in order to spread the word, that you start putting yourself out there, talking about it, writing about it, being there, letting your story shine. Let your story shine. So that is my broadcast today. I want to encourage all of you. Yes, Jessica, don't stop. You're not done. You're not done. Your story is too important. Judy, you're not done. Sandy, I am not done. I'm not done yet. So continue your story. You can even start by using parts of Facebook to share a story. I've started many blogs on Facebook, and they've ended up being posts that are this long, and then I continue. Isn't that right? Judy, you know what? As a matter of fact, if you want to post your last name, Judy, feel free. And yeah, let's see if we can do coffee or something while I'm here in Tucson. So I'm going to be here this week, and I will continue talking with you about writing all week. we're going to be doing a writer's boot camp all week. I'm going to just drill it into you. Continue, continue, continue. All right? Okay, my friends, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I'll be back tomorrow night. Take care. Bye-bye.